Okay, I think this is a good time to start. And I also believe the meeting is going to be recorded and just for the benefit of everyone. Okay, I'm Lincoln Badeja by name. I'm a Nigerian. I'm living here in the US. Um, I'm also going to introduce my team, but just to give you a little bit of background, I moved over to the US 5 years ago with my wife. Currently, we have two beautiful kids. I started out my IT career with Jumia. I don't know if some of you are familiar with Jumia. That was over 10 years ago. And I've pretty much grown my IT career. Currently, I lead a couple of teams and I also consult for a couple of organizations. Um, I'm no longer really hands-on. That's why I'm not going to be participating so much in training and all that, but I'm also going to be offering at least some level of mentorship to as many who will be coming on this journey with us. I have Chime Christian. Chime Christian, if you have a minute, just a quick introduction. But that's the man who does most of the heavy lifting. Do you understand? And you guys are going to be interacting with him actively as long as you embark on this journey with us. Christian, I think you're muted if you want to say hi to the people and
All
just
right.
introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining from. Yeah, I think you get to know me as we progress. So thank you. And thanks for everyone who have their cameras on. Um, it's going to be a very good ride as we progress. Thank you. I'm a part of Coils. I'm a DevOps senior DevOps engineer, senior cloud engineer, and also a solutions architect with Amazon Web Services and Microsoft certified trainer. And I also consult for a number of organizations. I won't be mentioning all of them now. So I'm going to be working with us alongside the other teammates in the course of this training and then the foreseeable future, because I know our journey doesn't end in 3 months. We start but we never end. All right, welcome. Thanks.
Yeah, so that's Christian. We also have a couple of persons who are part of the team. I'm not going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves because um, we want to try as much as possible to get you all out of this place very quickly. But we have Otnell. Otnell is out in the UK, currently working with a bank as a DevOps engineer. We have Ikena. Ikena is in Nigeria. Ikena leads our marketing efforts, right? We have a couple of engagement with some organizations in Nigeria that we currently assist with their cloud migrations and all that. So most of the marketing efforts, Ikena currently leads that effort. And then we have Samuel Obodo, who is also here with me in the US. Samuel is a senior cloud engineer, and he currently works with one of the big organizations that have really strong cloud computing footprints across the various regions where most of these big players have their infrastructure and all that. So we're going to be working very closely with these folks. But a quick introduction about the organization, Coils. We started out in 2020. We've been doing quite a lot of work before 2020, but we started officially 2020 and registered the organization and said, it's time to formalize what we're doing and also extend our services. Primarily, we didn't start out doing training. We're more of a managed service solution company. So we assist organizations, especially in West Africa, where cloud computing and cloud architecture isn't something that is very matured. So we provide that consulting, advice, and all that to help them, especially for those who are trying to move from on-premise solutions to cloud solutions, hosting their infrastructure in the cloud. Our primary goal with what we're doing in regards to training is to pretty much extend the knowledge we've gained over the years, because we're seeing quite a lot of people moving from Nigeria to other parts of the country. And we felt it's important at this time in our career that we step in to really help, because most people are taking on this journey. And if we're really going to be frank with ourselves, most of them don't really have a pathway for success when they relocate, right? You can really move to other part of the world and do really well if you're well positioned, if you have the right persons to talk to. And even those who are in Nigeria can also be really successful if they take advantage of opportunities like remote job, education, and growth, and position themselves correctly. They can also be earning significantly while still in Nigeria. We have a rich alumni base, and most of our alumni are looking for talents, people who are really good, to maybe provide support or maybe outsource some of the jobs they're picking up. And we're here to help them pretty much reach market pool. This is the team you've met us. I won't spend time on that. Most of us here, I don't know how many are already in IT, but the IT industry is pretty much open, right? I'm not here to explain the industry to you. You can do your research, but statistics really tells very well on really what's going on from an IT standpoint. Cloud computing industry is projected to reach a market size of pretty much over 832 billion in the next year. We're talking about 2025. We're in 2024. So this projection obviously translates to the number of high demand jobs that people are seeing every single day, and there is significant shortage of talents to fill those roles. Beyond cloud engineering, DevOps, these two roles are one of the most high-paying IT professions currently. I'm in the US. I wouldn't be able to speak for some of your location, but in the US, these roles pay an average of $130,000 to $150,000 per annum. That's a decent amount of money. I don't know what some of you in the UK are collecting. I don't know what some of you in Nigeria, maybe some of you in South Africa are collecting, but this is the statistics from my current location, and I think it pretty much extends toward the other part of the country. Training in cloud engineering and DevOps can help individuals acquire skill and knowledge that they need to excel in these roles. We're focusing our attention. Okay, there was feedback. We're focusing our attention pretty much on cloud engineering training with an introduction to DevOps. That's not the only offering we provide, but this is the offering that most of you all would be able to qualify for, because some of you are beginners. You've not really had so much IT experience. You can't really delve into disciplines like security. Data analysis is really nice. One of the things I hear so much is Scrum, right? I tell people Scrum really isn't an IT role, right? It's pretty much project management, and most organizations, most industry adopt the Scrum methodology in how they implement, deliver, or roll out products. So you can apply it to IT. You can also apply it to pretty much any other field. We don't have any focus on Scrum currently, but hopefully in the near future, we're going to be offering that. But our focus currently is on cloud engineering and DevOps. And that's something I think anyone who takes advantage of would obviously position themselves at least at the door to begin your IT career. And from there, you can pretty much scale. What's the problem we're trying to solve? Skill acquisition is at the core. Africans are relocating at a significant number, and that leaves a significant deficit back in Nigeria, right? So for those who are in Nigeria, this is just straight out for you. There is a significant demand for really talented IT professionals currently in Nigeria because the good ones are not there. At least Christian is no longer there. Christian was once in Nigeria practicing and doing a really good job there before he left. Quite a lot of persons. Opner was in Nigeria. Samuel was in Nigeria. I was also in Nigeria. We're all trying as much as possible to find greener pasture for ourselves, and that's also leaving a significant deficit, like I said, in Nigeria. So skill acquisition is really critical, and our role is to provide that education so that we can have more talented people to fill the openings that are available and be able to take advantage of it. Financial difficulty, this doesn't really speak to those maybe in Nigeria, but once you move out of Nigeria to maybe a place like the US, a place like the UK, you'll be faced with one important harsh reality. The cost of living in this environment isn't really low. It's not like in Nigeria where you're paying your house rent like it's yearly. For some of us where we live, we pay house rent of over $2,000. Some pay rent of over £1,000 where they're living. But a simple example, if you have kids, currently I have two beautiful kids and I pay pretty much over $3,000, do you understand, in childcare. You cannot fulfill this primary role as a father, a husband, or whatever you want to call yourself if you don't have cash. It's as simple as that. And the cash comes with you positioning yourself to get a role or a job or maybe a business. You really don't have to go into IT if it's not something you're really passionate about, but you should be able to get something that puts money in your pocket at a reasonable size that can help you offset your bills and all that. Low tech and technological advancement, that's pretty much clear. Nigeria really isn't matured from a technological standpoint, and that's also why Coils exist, to provide and educate, support, and help organizations get to that place whereby they can be able to scale and also take advantage of new technology. Cloud computing isn't a new thing, but in Nigeria, it's new because just recently, are we seeing organizations having that confidence and trust to be able to host their infrastructure in someone else's data center and feel it's safe? Do you understand? It's a mental change. They feel once we host it ourselves, then we can pretty much do everything around it to ensure that people data is pretty much protected. But that's not the case, because when you do that, you end up spending more to be able to scale and also acquire this infrastructure. Here's our solution. How do we plan to solve the problems I just mentioned previously? The most important of them is one-to-one mentorship. It's going to be difficult for someone, especially with the amount of information out there, to, let's say, venture into IT without some level of guidance. IT is extremely broad. You can go into, you can become a developer, you can become a cybersecurity expert, you can go into networking, you can pretty much do anything. You can be an architect, like solution for organization. But the question is, where do you start from? Do you have someone who can provide that level of guidance? Like hold your hands as someone who is a total novice and pretty much define a clear path for you to go that gets you to the point whereby you can start making significant return for the investment you've made. That's what we're here to do. We want to hold your hands and try as much as possible to show you the path and take the steps some of us have taken, and also help you provide or get the jobs that would maybe make your life better. One other thing that I think people struggle with is the fear of getting a job and then losing it. It's that's a fact. You can go on Udemy, take courses, you can go on pretty much all the various platforms and read up, prepare yourself, write professional exam, be certified and all that and get a job. The question you ask yourself is, if I secure this job, if I package myself properly and I get a job, can I retain the job? That's also why we're here. We just don't want to give you the skill, train you, and then you get a job, and then we leave you out there and you're pretty much struggling. You don't have anyone to fall back to when you're faced with like really complex or difficult challenges that you need to solve for the organization that employed you. We're here to provide on-the-job support. We do that for quite a lot of our alumni currently. You get a job, you have challenges within the job, you have problems you're trying to solve, you can always reach out. Or you can put out questions in our community and you would obviously find someone who can provide an answer, so that in the next 6 months, in the next 9 months, you would get to a point where you feel so confident that maybe you don't need so much of assistance anymore. You can run the job comfortably and maybe start looking at getting maybe a second job. Payment. money is key, right? And that's one thing we don't have in excess. We want to get this skill, but I know quite a lot of us on this call don't have the financial capacity to be able to maybe pay what's required for the course. The course isn't cheap, right? We currently put the course out for $2,500, which is what I think most someone just called. That's the price. That's the price people who are in the US and other part of the world currently pay. But we've also subsidized it for some persons depending on your location, depending on your power and all that. We try as much as possible to be flexible with you guys from a payment standpoint, and where needed, if you find a very talented person, in some cases we provide some level of sponsorship. Trainings are going to be live classes. We're going to provide tutoring, mentorship, and pretty much all what's required to ensure that you guys are successful with your journey. I'm going to also share this with you all. You can find a couple of reasons why you can choose us. Like I said, the mentorship, flexible payment. We're pretty much open to wherever you are in your IT journey. If you're a beginner, if you're somewhere in the middle, we're here to help. We offer monthly leadership training also, because it's one thing to have the skill, is another thing to have the attitude. Attitude in some cases is what most recruiters are looking at when you come before them. They gauge your skill, but they also want to gauge your ability to work within a team, because you're not going to be working alone. We have a rich alumni base you can take advantage of here in the US, in the UK, Canada. We're also going to provide you guys with certificate for participants. But beyond that, we can also support you if you want to take advantage of the professional certifications that this cloud computing vendor put out there for you guys to take advantage of. These are the courses: DevOps, cloud engineering, cybersecurity, and data engineering. But the class we're currently recruiting or enrolling for is cloud engineering with an introduction to DevOps. These are testimonials of people that have taken advantage of this training. These are not their real faces, but these are actual names, and these are the good things they're saying. So who is this for? I'm trying as much as possible to run through this as quickly as possible, because we have a demo we also want to share with you guys. Who is this for? That's one of the questions I think some of you are asking yourself. You don't have any IT experience, and you're wondering, is this something I can be a part of? The answer is yes. You really don't have to have so much of IT skill to be a part of this program. One of my good friend I use as an advertorial when I'm talking to people, especially when they tell me they don't have the skill. I know someone who the most he understood about computer is like the Word and like PowerPoint and all that using Excel. Like he's not so much strong from an IT standpoint and really had zero IT experience. Moved over to the US and wanted to like find an opportunity for himself. Most of the things you would see people doing, like maybe you can drive Uber, you can take advantage of maybe take a course and then get a CDL license, drive a truck, or maybe you work as a nurse assistant, so maybe you go back to school and maybe study nursing or just do something so that you can get to that point whereby you can be able to earn a very, very decent amount of money, maybe over 80K, over 100K, and then you start feeling comfortable. And we had a conversation and it was like, do you think I can do? I'm like, you can give this one a try. That was when the training was still pretty much free, right? He took advantage of the training, and I kid you not, that person is currently well positioned and earns way over $200,000 per annum. For a fact, I'm not cajoling you guys. I'm not doing this for like to get rich. I'm pretty much comfortable for myself, but that can be someone else's reality. It could be for someone who is in the UK. It could be for someone who is in Netherlands. It could be for someone who is in Ireland. You relocate and you're asking yourself, how do I invest my time, be a part of a job that pays at least a decent amount of money? You don't want to be at the low tier. And if you don't get a job very quickly, then you have to pick up something and you don't have time anymore to be able to upskill yourself because you've gotten a job, maybe you're doing Uber, maybe you're working as a nurse assistant. To be able to pay your bills, you have to work aggressively to make money. And the little time you have to use it to rest. And at that point, making a career switch becomes very difficult. And then you're caught in this rat race and it's very difficult to get out of it at that point. It's pretty much for anyone, irrespective of your IT experience, but you have to be, it's not a given, but my recommendation, I would really want to work with someone who at least has a first degree, right? So I'm not really talking about people who are maybe in college and all that. We would obviously train you if you're interested, but you might not get so much immediate value from it. But obviously, a skill is a skill. You can take advantage of that maybe when you're done with college. But primarily, someone who has an undergraduate, you're really passionate, you want to get something going for yourself. We're here to help you take advantage of the opportunity, and this could obviously make a difference. Registration. Um, and we're currently in partnership with someone else, which the slide was originally for. But you can indicate your interest by putting in your phone number in the chat. Someone would definitely reach out to you, talk through that, set up an orientation class for you. Once you make payment, then you should be good to go. The class starts officially next week, Saturday. This is meant to be an orientation for those who have already made their payment and all that, but we said, okay, let's give others the opportunity, right? Those who are still trying to make up their mind, share a little information and see anyone who still wants to be able to join these next cohorts. But come Saturday next week, we should be fully in the air, right? Working really hard, training you guys and preparing you for your next job. At this point, I'm going to ask, does anyone have any question for me? Any question?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Before you ask your question, there's someone I
I'll do
really
introduction. Okay.
yeah. Before you ask the question, if you don't mind, sorry. Mr. Daniel, the way you look, the way you're looking at me, you're like, Mr. Man, what do you think? What are you? What are you saying? I've just been looking at me. I'm like, are you sure this guy doesn't know me? Some man is like, Mr. Man, because you feel comfortable now. You can. Again, I just wanted to put a smile on your face. I know you've been very serious listening to me, and I'm like, let me just call you out. Namdi, you can go ahead with your question.
Okay. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon from wherever you are. My name is Nnamdi, currently in Nigeria, and I really want to thank you, Mr. Lincoln, for this wonderful opportunity. Okay, I'll say it's a wonderful opportunity because so many of us, even if you don't want to relocate, wherever you are, you really want to make a good living. And we really know that what's trending now is the IT, but someone doesn't really know, okay, where do I start? Just like it's then who is about going to university, you don't know the course to take, so that at the end of the day, it pays. So I really want to appreciate you. I've heard all you said. So my question is, in the course of the lecture, your company Coils, is your company actually like, okay, let me take for example, in the university you have many courses that one can take, so your company, what part of the IT world is your company positioning us, that is training us that, okay, after this one will know that, okay, I wouldn't be like somebody who did animal science in Nigeria, that after that, you just go and open a poultry. So what aspect of the IT world is your company trying to position us? Is this one that is very, very lucrative, regardless of where you are? Like I said initially, some of us may not relocate. Some of us may still stay where we are. So what part of IT world are you positioning us so that wherever we may find ourselves, we can really make a good living as a result of the step that we are taking today? Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna give thanks. That's a really nice question. I'm gonna give Kristen the opportunity to answer that question because he has taken some of the steps you're talking about today, right? He has practiced as a cloud engineer in Nigeria. He has practiced as a cloud engineer in South Africa, which is in Africa, worked with Amazon, and is currently in Netherlands, working as a consultant for a pretty large organization there. You understand? So, Chris, if you don't mind, share some stats, give him some good information, and help him with his question.
All right. Maybe we can take all the questions together, just because we have a very short time. I'm just suggesting, instead of taking the questions one after the other. What do you think?
Good point. Good point. Okay, I'll take note of that question. Any other question so that we can.
Yeah, my name is Daniel.
Mr. Daniel.
I'm from Florida. I mean, I'm based in Florida, Jacksonville, Florida. My question goes like this. IT is a very, very trickish, I'll call it trickish course, where you have to be very smart and you have to have this level of understanding. Because I remember back in Nigeria, I did a networking, we did a CCNA thing then, but I didn't really go deep at the point. But my question is, after 3 months, are you guys just going to stop there with us? Or for those of us who still have a very difficult still understanding, is it going to be like you guys are going to stop for that 3 months? Or because I remember there's this online school I did 2 years ago. They said they were going to stop at, I think, 10 or 12 weeks. And at the end of the 12 weeks, I was able to catch up. But I think half of the class were not able to catch up. And guess what? The 12th week ended. So the question goes to you guys. If some of us were unable to catch up, because it's not an everyday school thing, it's weekend thing. How are you guys going to be able to pull us up? Like, make us, get to that same level with people who has already understand it? That's my first question. And my second question is, oh, don't let me go to the second question. I think the second question might be during as the class proceed, but that's the only question I have. The duration and how people that were unable to understand it, are they going to stop at that same 3 months, or you guys still have a chance to still pull them up? Thank you.
Good question. Thanks, Mr. Daniel of Florida. Any other question? I can see Emmanuel.
Hello. Yeah, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Hello, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead with your question.
Right. My name is Samuel from Sunderland, and I wish to find out for somebody who is arts inclined, who studied sociology, which is not engineering or science, but has an arts background. How can the person cope with the program, which I was thinking it's like engineering or science inclined?
Okay, so you're asking if you studied a art discipline during your undergraduate, is this training meant for you?
That's
And if
that's
yes,
exactly, and how I can cope if it is.
okay. Any other question?
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Manuel. I'm from Nigeria. I would like to, I think mine should be a comment. Yeah. So I know some people here might be maybe in IT. Yeah. I think myself, I'm also in when it comes to cloud engineering and IT. Per se. I would like to say it would be nice for people like us if the process of training can be flexible for those of us who are not IT inclined, so we can catch up with training. Because some people here might be intermediate and some might be low. So I believe that the academy have some form of strategy to give right to make other people who are not IT inclined to catch up with process of training. So that is my comment.
That's a good question. If I was struggling to hear you, but if I can summarize your question, you're really asking, since the class would be comprised of people who are different level in their IT career, how do we plan to ensure that those who are complete beginners are not left behind? Is that really the question?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, I'm doing a good job then. At least I'm summarizing it correctly. And any other question?
I would like to give a shout out to Oatmeal.
Oh, no, they're talking about your good work. We're proud to have you as a partner.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so it's kind of like the question that everybody else is asking, but a little bit more direct. I just want to make sure, like, is this a course for individuals that don't know anything at all? Like, is that this course, or is it a course where you expect us to have the basics down pat? That's the first question. The second question is, as far as the 3 months, are you going to help the student as far as like a job? Like, for example, some programs, they help you get a job. They'll have you put an earpiece in while they walk you through the interview and, make sure you land that job, and even walk you through the job. Like, I mean, they're not going to do the job for you, but they will help you with that job. So I want to know if you guys are definitely going to help with job placement. And the last question is, after the 3 months, sometimes people can be impatient, especially, no offense, Nigerians. So I just don't want it to be like where you're getting like that person that's struggling, or that person is a little bit slower than the other, not really getting it. I hope it's not like, when we're reaching out for help, how do we know we're going to get that help? And then how do we know after we pay, we're not going to be asked for more money? So those are the 3 questions that I have.
Okay. I really hope maybe Ordinal or Christian, you picked all the questions, but I think I got 2 of them. Okay, but if I don't answer your question correctly at the right time, you just remind or restate some of them. I can see Nonso, you're raising your hand. Yeah, you can unmute yourself, Nonso, and ask your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lincoln. Okay, my question goes this way. Though I've already taken note of how you said that we are going to start with cloud engineering with along the line introduction to DevOps. So my question goes this way. In the course of maybe practice or getting experience, then one wants to maybe move ahead, to take in more courses, maybe full-time DevOps or cybersecurity. Will this team be able to, give those training just like the cloud engineering? That's just my question.
Okay, talking about continuous learning.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Any other question? By the way, those are good questions. Have we taken all the questions? Okay, let's see how much of the questions we can answer in the next couple of minutes here. And we would also make ourselves available if some of you want to have like a personal chat or something, so we can like hone in on some of the more important or more detailed aspect of the conversation. Chris, do you want to start with maybe the first question as it applies to, I'm going to combine them to get a job opportunity, and how we can help, if any, you understand, with job placement, on the job support, and also if we're going to be asking for more money, do you understand, to provide such kind of support. Go ahead, Chris.
All right. All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for those wonderful questions. I'm actually happy we are doing this today. And I mean, like, we didn't rush ahead to just go into the training. Those were really, really wonderful questions. I see a lot of my friends here. I still see quite a number of new persons joining in. So just straight to the questions, a number of them I try to note down. So please, if we don't hit them, just talk about it again. So firstly, I'm going to talk about, I'll start from what somebody asked a question around if you don't have an experience, who is this meant for, and those kind of things. I mean, are basically prerequisites, right? I think during the presentation, Lincoln talked about people who, I mean, someone who, you know, all he knew about, IT in quotes, just around Microsoft Word applications and those kind of things, right? And then but basically went through this training, and today, that person is doing well. We have that that kind of testimony across over the years, from people we've trained, and it's just that we would want to keep some persons from exposing them, not even in this group, people outside, but we can give you some contacts, and then you can talk to those persons and then watch their career. What we do, if you look at the makeup of the team, we are people in the industry. I've practiced for the past 11 years, and IT is a very noisy space. So how the training is meant to go is we show you what you need in the job and what is going to help you succeed on the job. So we have people, like there was a lady who was a pharmacist who we trained some time ago. That's obviously not a science or an IT background, right? So in terms of whether somebody from art and all of that, basically, and that's why we try to see if you've been able to complete a degree, irrespective of the background. We believe if you give this, your time and energy, give it the required attention that it needs and it demands, you will do well. We are not going to come here and lie to you and tell you, oh, it's just a walk in the park. It's very easy. No, but we are going to make it very easy for you, show you the pathway, because like a lot of you may already know, if you go to YouTube to try to watch something, right, you'll see dozens and dozens of videos. And some of you may have already done something like that. You start today, you don't finish, you go here. Those are the things we're going to help you, make sure that you don't experience those kind of things, right? So our job is to take you by the hands, right? Each step along the way in training you. After the training, like I said initially when I was trying to introduce myself, we don't leave you halfway. Our relationship with you doesn't really end after 3 months. Okay, so I think I'm touching all the questions one after the other. So our relationship with you doesn't end 3 months. We have an alumni. I think Lincoln talked about that. We have an alumni, which you're going to be part of, right? You're going to be part of that. So it's not like we're ending the journey after 3 months. So you're going to be part of that system where we are also going to be providing support to you on the job, right? We are going to be helping you along the way and all of that. In the end, we are building a very, very huge community, and then you're going to be part of that community. So yeah, that's that. In about more money, of course, we need more money, but for this training, we are not going to ask you to pay more money.
Okay.
Your contract with us for the 3 months stands with the payment that we agree with you. And so once you pay that, that is final. You're going to be part of the training. And one of the uniqueness in joining Coils is you're going to be part of you're going to have somebody who's going to mentor you directly. So it's your job, to bug the mentor, be on the person's neck and all of that. We want you to have that personal touch with somebody. Again, the reason we have done that is because we want you to get the return on your investment. We see this as an investment. Okay, you invest in your time, you invest in your money. So we want you to make sure that you're heard. Instead of trying to wait until the class to ask your questions. You have someone who you can readily reach out to, call the person on phone or schedule a meeting or something, whatever works for you. So you can reach out to the person and be able to, just make sure you get the attention that you need. So we don't we don't leave anybody behind. I think that's the last one I'm going to touch. We don't leave anybody behind. We know some persons, just like it happens in school, right? Some guys are very smart. Before a teacher says something, they know it. They even answer the question ahead. Yeah, we know we're going to have people like that, but we don't allow that to scare anybody, right? Because that person paid, you also paid. So nobody paid for you to be here. So, and even if somebody paid for you, you have every right as the other students, right? So we want to hear everybody. So nobody will overshadow you. We are very patient. The class is well structured. And again, that's why you also have a mentor. Somebody you can go back to, oh, that thing they thought I didn't understand it. I think I need this area, this area. Again, we are going to have one-on-ones as much as we can with you all, just to make sure that everybody is progressing. And then once you finish, one of the things we really, really want to help you do, is to make sure that you are well positioned you're well positioned to to get into the job market, right? You're well positioned to put your CV out there and all of that, and make sure that you get the right role. So yeah, that's in a nutshell answer to some of the questions I noted down.
Let me just
yeah.
Let me really quick some of the things you said, and I want to stress one, because I know when Nigerians, when we pay money for something, we want to get value for the money. Do you understand? But it's important to understand that the responsibilities are shared. I want to stress it as much as possible, so that someone doesn't leave after 3 months thinking these guys came up and they collected your money. Please, that's the last thing we would want to do. That's it. That's the last thing we would even want to be a part of. If you feel you would not be able to give your time towards this, it's going to be my simple recommendation: don't even start it, because it's going to require some level of commitment from you. Life is not a bed of roses. Do you understand? We're not going to just run you through 3 months and without any contribution or participation or any seriousness from your own part. And then in the next 3 months, you're expecting to be me or expecting to be Christian or do you understand? These testimonies we're telling you, they are beautiful testimonies, but those persons also had to put in some significant work. I really want this to settle in properly, so that when you go back to think about this, the first thing you want to ask yourself, because we're more than ready. We've done this for quite a number of persons. Do you understand? So we don't have a problem with us. What we cannot measure is your preparedness or commitment to ensure you take advantage of the opportunity that will be available to you. We can assign you a mentor. The mentor is not going to be chasing you and running all over the place. It's still going to be your primary responsibility to, one, make out time to attend classes. The classes are going to be recorded. If you miss the class, it's going to be your responsibility to listen to the recording. You understand what I mean? It's so that we don't leave this place thinking, I'm going to be holding your hands all the way, and then you're not going to be making steps. You understand? So that's the level of partnership. I'm here to hold your hands, but you're also going to at least make some steps, do some personal research. Do you understand? Be hungry enough for knowledge that you're even coming to us to question, oh, I was working on this thing. Do you understand? I ran into this. How can you, do you understand? So let that be extremely clear, because there is nothing we're going to gain from you. Do you understand? We're giving you guys access to cloud resources, labs, and all that, so you can work and do things. We don't want you to not be successful, and then you think your lack of success, do you understand, is because we didn't do one or two things right. We're going to be as dedicated and committed to you guys. You just need to do your part. Do you understand? So I think I've tabled that enough, because we're Nigerians, we're talking as Nigerians and brothers. I don't want anyone to think these guys came and we came after your money. No, we don't need it. Do you understand? Well, comfortable. Do you understand that we barely don't need it? So just so that's absolutely clear. Regarding job opportunity, that's the end goal, right? The reason you joined this meeting is so that these folks will take you through a training one way or the other, find you at a place whereby you can secure a job. That's the end result of everything. And someone asked a very important question. Some of us don't have plans of relocating, right? Is there an opportunity for me in Nigeria or where I am currently? The answer is yes. But I'm not going to say you take my words for what they are. I would say you go do your own personal research. The simplest way to measure if there is demand for a particular skill is to go to the recruitment agencies. Do you understand? See the amount of job postings that are out there for that particular role. It's important you're making an informed decision as opposed to being blinded by emotions or these good things we're saying, and then you don't do your own personal research. Do that. But one thing I know is if you get it right and if you become good at what you do, then job is not going to be the problem. Either jobs local to your environment. There are people, this is just a good example. There are people who are here in the US, and I'm also currently working on a project that, because like we want to try as much as possible to give back to our community. There are people who are getting jobs that they cannot personally fulfill, and they're going to be looking for, will I say, I'm not going to use the word cheaper resource, but they want to look for talent from places whereby the cost of acquiring that talent won't be as expensive as acquiring the talent from, you know, maybe the US and all that. That's really what our good friends, the Indians, do. You secure a job, you already have what it takes to get a job, and then you outsource, you sublet the job to someone else, but you want to give the job to someone who is good. There are a lot of persons in Nigeria who are currently working jobs that are offshore, that were secured by someone else. But you would not hand over a job you took so much time and effort to secure to someone who is not good. So the question is, are you good? Are you ready to be that go-to resource that people can say, oh, I'm looking for someone who is good in cloud engineering? They come to us. We would love to recommend you all that would go through the training, but we're off when the person talks to you and I try to evaluate your skill. The person is going to have to make a decision for themselves. So bottom line, do your own personal research, irrespective of your location. There is a rich amount of opportunity on the prefix that you are good at what you do. Do you understand? So if you strive to be good, then the job wouldn't be a problem. Someone talked about continuous learning. Even till date, I'm still learning. After over 10 years, I'm still learning. You cannot jump into the IT career without the understanding that there is a place for continuous learning. And that's why we're also here. That's why the community exists. When you start moving up, you start specializing. You understand? There's some persons who would just want to specialize on maybe security in the cloud. There are persons who would just want to specialize on maybe data management in the cloud. I think the question that was asked Ameloko. Okay, perfect. Oh my goodness, someone just scared me. Okay. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna try as much as possible to help with continuous training. We might not, this is not the whole team. Do you understand? This is the core team, but we have quite a vast amount of instructors. Do you understand? So I don't think there would be any aspect of IT that you would want to get into that would not be able to provide, you understand, the level of training for. We're moving this step by step, and we're saying at this point, this class is focused on cloud computing with an introduction to DevOps. When you get into the IT space, then you're going to be making more informed decision. Okay, I want to specialize in this. When you come back to us, training wouldn't be a problem. Or even sharing resources that could help you. Because at that point, you've gained some level of independence and you understand how to move around, that if someone just points you in the right path, provide you with information, things you can read up and all that, you would be able to basically take it from there. I think Chris already addressed I mean, where you are in your IT career and if you know and all that. Is there any question we might have missed? Because I think this pretty much summarizes all the questions that you guys asked. Oh, job placement. Someone asked if we're going to be giving you jobs. While I would love to say yes, unfortunately, I'm not going to get a job for you. Am I going to help you in the process for you to get a job? Like, oh, now we have an interview, your interview is scheduled for next week. We can help with mock interview. We can help review possible questions, but we're not going to be in the business of getting you jobs. We're going to be recommending jobs your way. If we find a job that we know you might be a fit for, why not? We're going to share, but we're not going to like go get a job and attach you to the job. I'm sorry if I think that was the question, but we're not in that business. We're not going to be asking you for additional amount of money. Do you understand? If you reach out for question and all that. And we're not going to be rude. We're not going to treat you as though, oh, now there isn't anything as a dumb question. Do you understand? And it's also going to be possible that we're not going to have all the answers for the questions you ask, but what we can commit to is that we're going to find an answer for you. So it's possible you reach out to your mentor, oh, I need assistance with this. Don't feel offended if your mentor says, unfortunately, I can't help at this moment. That means they're going to go look for help for you, and then they can set up a meeting, because your mentors are not like an embodiment of all knowledge and all that is required to be able to give you all the information or answer pretty much every question you have. Did we answer all the questions for today? Is there any really important question that someone felt maybe we missed? Before I turn this back to, we're already 1 hour into this, and I want to give this back to Christian to.
Sorry, can I?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, I typed a question on the chat. We've spent like 1 hour, and we're here in Nigeria where situation of light is unpredictable, and some of us will be using laptops. So I would like to know how many hours would each training be, so that if we need to get fuel for our generator, we quickly do that before our laptop goes off. And also, how many times a week do we train? Thank you.
Okay, Saturdays, live trainings are Saturdays and Sundays. The live trainings would be recorded, and usually the trainings are an average of 2 hours. You might, in the course of the training, we might run into like really complex stuff. You understand? You hit a roadblock, you understand, while doing a deployment or setting up something, and then it might run over 2 hours, but on an average, it's 2 hours, and it's only for Saturdays and Sundays. And you definitely need that generator, especially if you're in Nigeria.
Okay. Thank you. So what time do we commence? Like 6 p.m. Nigerian time, as like today for other days?
I know the time zone has changed here, but I think it's 6 p.m. Nigerian time.
It's 7 p.m.
Oh, 7.
Yeah.
7 p.m. Nigerian time. Yeah, 7 p.m. Nigerian
So
time.
that should be like 1 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah. 1 p.m. Eastern. Any other question? Okay, Chris, over to you. You can, I don't know if you have all the time to do the demo you're gonna do, but I'm just gonna leave this for Chris and leave you all with just one thing. If you're still interested in joining the class, please feel free and to drop your I don't know if that's you can drop me a message. I don't know, some persons wouldn't want to drop their phone numbers in here, otherwise would have reached out to you. But that's my phone number. Feel free to drop me a message and let me know that you're interested. Otherwise, you can drop your phone number and someone would definitely get in touch with you. We also have a WhatsApp channel that you can be a part of. I think Otnell, you can post the WhatsApp channel for them, and anyone who is interested can also join. Thanks so much for taking the time and listening to my very, very boring self, Jensen. I'm not the best of public speakers, but I know we can get the job done. Thanks so much for the time and for at least listening to us. Have a wonderful day. Over to you, Chris.
Okay. Okay, we have very limited time left. So just before we leave you for today, within the next 45 minutes, I'm going to try to give us a rundown of where we're going to take you to, I mean, or what the destination looks like for you. So if you still have some time, feel free to stick around. I'm just going to do a very, very simple demo of what you will be doing at the end of this 3 months, irrespective of where you are now. Okay, irrespective of where you are. And I'm very, very careful with that word, irrespective of where you are now. This is where we're gonna take you to. So feel free to stick around if you still got time. But before I do that, let me just I know Lincoln talked about job opportunities and those kind of things. This is my LinkedIn profile. I'm not showing you this for any boasting, but I just want to show you what the job market looks like. I know when the training starts, we're going to show you some things, how to set yourself up, set your profile if you don't have that. Now, this is one space that currently you don't look for job. I know it sounds too good to be true, but it's true. As a cloud engineer, my profile is still saying Cape Town, South Africa, but I have job alerts set up across the UK, the US, and those kind of things. So I get notifications, I get calls, and those kind of things. So just here's a few. Sometimes I just respond to them. This is this week. I deleted some of them. I was trying to do a cleanup. I just left a few here. You're the one who is going to be rejecting job offers. Trust me, you're going to reject job offers. And some of them are, trust me, very good, very good pay. Like Lincoln was actually saying, there are a lot of opportunities. Those of you who are already outside of Nigeria, maybe in the US, and you can do. I know a guy who was at one point doing 7 jobs, and he was making close to $600,000 per annum. And we at that point, some of the people we trained, we were just helping them, and I know in Nigeria, we are very religious. You see people praying for dollar to go down, dollar to go up. Some people, is their prayer, the rate should continue going up. That's the truth, because I knew a guy who was earning 1,500, and then at some point he was doing two for two of our contacts then, and he was earning like 3,000. And again, all these are remote jobs, right? So he was doing it at the comfort of his house in Lagos, and he was like, he can't believe. So in less than 2 months, his life completely changed. So you may not even want to travel and then be like Lincoln in the US, where you're spending all those dollars. If you're back home, so as the dollar is going to 2,000, you are happy, so you don't see why the prayers of some people don't work, because some people are suppressing it. Again, there are a lot of opportunities. So many are even wanting and begging you to come. I keep rejecting every day. Some call you out of the blue, and there are so many. If I run through my profile, I keep rejecting and rejecting and rejecting. On the side, as a company, we do projects, and some of those people, what we can do for them is, instead of hiring me, I recommend people I know. So if we train you and all of that, these are some of the things you're going to begin to benefit directly from us. We could recommend you, we could put out your name out there. And if you set up your profile, do the basic things you need to do, this training is going to be heavily practically oriented. And the reason is because we give you those live projects. Like I said, I'm a cloud architect, senior DevOps engineer. I work on projects every day. So we put you on those kind of projects. It gives you a real life experience. Like Lincoln was saying, if you dedicate yourself, because the classes are going to be happening every weekend, right? But your week will need you to actually invest your time, because trust me, you will need to work. All right. And then you run into problems. As you do those things, you're gaining experience, you're gaining knowledge, and those are some of the things you can talk about when you get into an interview room. You're talking, and then you don't need to tell them, I started 3 months ago. What they want to know, can you do this? Can you do this? And with the things we'll expose to you, in this 3 months, you're going to be well comfortable. By next week, we're going to show you the training, the course contents, what you need to do. I know somebody asked the question. I'm just going to touch up that before I move into my lab, because that's really what I want to do. I want to show you the demo. So don't be frightened if you see me doing some stuff. Don't worry. I know the first time I did, somebody came and told me, I think this thing is not for me. I was like, no, don't worry. We are going to help you get there. All right. And at the end of the day, you'll be doing that and playing around those environments. So you can't join this training with a smartphone. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It will be counterproductive. You need to join with a laptop that has minimum of a 4 gig RAM. Minimum. Best, If you have 8, that's perfect. If you have 16 or 32, awesome, right? And you should be good to go. So now cloud. We're going to be working with Microsoft Azure. We're going to be working with Azure. The reason is very simple, is because we have a lot of cloud providers out there. We're going to go into all of this, so don't worry if you don't understand it. So this is the environment we're going to be working with, alongside a lot of other tools we're going to explain and introduce to you along the way. So we're going to help you set up an account here, and then we'll also add you guys into what we call a tenant. So we add you to our organization for those of you who are going to sign up or who have already signed up. So by tomorrow and the next couple of days, we'll set up the whole account and everything, and you'll have access to do a whole lot of things. Now, when it comes to cloud engineering, which is our focus, is broken down. Cloud engineering is very wide. You have a lot of things, whether you go into analytics, things around compute, say you're coming from a cloud administrative background. We have things, that focuses around containers, people that developers, those of you who may have dev experience, what cloud means to a developer, databases, and then we have DevOps, which is going to be our, where we're going to try to push a number of us into, because we play very well in that area, and that's where you have the largest demand currently in the market. And then we have things that fall around the general, and then we have the hybrid and multi-cloud experience, exposure. We have identity, we have integrations, we have IoTs, Internet of Things, Alexa and all those kind of things. So we have migration, mixed reality, monitoring, networking, security. Somebody was asking a question around security. Now, all of these things, are embedded in cloud. So this is what we're going to show you. And then we're going to pick a number of services, not all services, from the cloud, from Azure, and then introduce you to them. There are over 300 services currently running on Azure. On AWS, it's a little bit more. The reason is because AWS is the cloud leader, followed by Azure, and then we have Google Cloud, which is GCP. You still have other cloud providers out there who are also doing very, very fine for themselves. You may come across them in the course of your career. But we are going to try to take one or two of these services and show you how they work, so that when you get into, when you start practicing, you're going to continue to explore. Like we said earlier, it's a continuous journey. I'm learning. Currently, I'm handling a project that is actually, I come from a dev background, basically. I'm currently working on a project that has to do with AI and big data. We're building an LLM with some machine learning ops on top of that data, and then we're building some AI stuff on top of them. So that's my first time diving into into data space. And so I'm also learning. I'm just saying that to let you know that you're going to keep learning, but we'll give you all you need to get started on your journey, get a good job, land a good pay, be comfortable, and be able to, get to a point where you can begin to fly solo. All right. So Azure is actually, from my experience, I have experience with the 3 major cloud providers, and I would say, and then this is my opinion, it's actually well cool to work with. It's and again, when you enter into Azure DevOps, it's a software as a service. They've tried to put DevOps like just one single service. And I think there's no cloud provider who has been able to do that. Just them. AWS has a code pipeline, code deploy, code commit scattered here and there. And the maturity of that is not there yet. Okay. So you're going to use all a number of these tools or these resources. We call them resources on the cloud. We're going to teach you how to make use of them. And then at the end of the day, we're going to end with Azure DevOps. Now, Azure DevOps is the DevOps platform we're going to be introducing to you, which is a way to automate things. Let me quickly open one of my accounts, and we're going to show you how to create deployment, create applications, deploy them. Let me try to narrow down something, which is what I'm going to do. We don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to try to be very, very fast. How many of you remember those days where, especially if you're still in Nigeria, I think you'll still be seeing things like that. Those days where if your WhatsApp expired, WhatsApp, I think we're in the university then. Sometimes when with our Symbian phones and the rest of them, I can't remember how many of you use Symbian phones and those kind of things. Now, when your WhatsApp want to expire, you look for the next guy who has downloaded the updated version. How many of you remember? And you collect that person's own, and oh boy, my own won't finish. They say 30 days to you go and download a new version. That's how we were updating our WhatsApp, right? Sometimes today, I don't know if it still happens in Nigeria, but I'm going to use the banks because they are the banking sector, the fintech sector in Nigeria seems to be the most matured. And I guess a lot of us will be able to relate with that. You notice sometimes they send you an SMS, oh, from this time to this time, you will not be able to do this, blah, 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 because we are doing maintenance, we are doing this, right? You get those kind of messages. The reason is because some of them, the platforms, and that's why, the cloud is gaining a lot of momentum, is gaining adoption because people are trying to move away from the traditional way of doing things. All those things are happening because a lot of them have not, don't have their presence in cloud, or if they do, they've not adopted DevOps. All right. How many of you know that when is the last time, if you try to remember now, when was the last time you actually updated your WhatsApp? You notice you rarely update your WhatsApp, right? You just notice sometimes you notice that you've pushed an update, right? You notice today you can reply privately. You notice they add this new feature, right? You notice very now and then you keep saying that they keep upgrading their product, right? The same thing with Facebook, all those apps you have on your phone, right? Those tech companies, the guys who are doing those stuff, quietly push updates silently into your environment, into your phone, without you even knowing. Now, all those things are possible because of the application of DevOps, whereby they can take something, update what you currently have in your hand. And that's where those things are possible because there's cloud computing on one side, and then there's an application of DevOps on the other side that makes those kind of that kind of engineering possible. So I'm going to try to show us a few things, how they do something like that in the next few minutes. So these are some tools that you'll be needing, along the way. So feel free to, of course, we are going to give you the list, so you can actually download them and then make good use of them. So let me see, with the time we have, I'm going to use Visual Studio. So I'm going to create a simple application. All right. Now this is not a programming class. It's just, I'm doing a demo. So don't be bothered about what I'm going to do, but you come across code. You're not, again, this is not a programming class. Cloud engineering, you don't need programming experience. Okay, so don't be scared and say, this thing, no, it's not for me. No, don't worry about that. All right, so I'm going to just quickly I'll show you how to create a simple application, all right, and then introduce what we call version control into that, because we're going to be learning version control, and then we're going to create a CI/CD pipeline for that, and then from that CI/CD pipeline, we're going to deploy that application we created. We're going to deploy it into the cloud, all right, and that's a full DevOps pipeline, from the developer's machine to the repository where the code is going to live, and then we'll create a cloud resource. So if you're going to be a cloud engineer only, I'll show you where your journey ends. Now, if you want to be a DevOps engineer, I'll also show you where your journey starts and ends. All right, that's just to help you see what we are going to do in a nutshell, in a very short amount of time. Now I have my machine ready. Of course, I have actually installed quite a number of things that will make what I'm about to do possible. So in case you try to follow me and it doesn't work, it could be that there are some things that you currently don't have. Now, this is not the time for me to show you all the things that are making this possible, but this is a demo. So I'm just going to create a folder, demo January. Okay, let me assume all of us are January. This page January again, January cohort, right? And then I'm going to CD into that. All right, and then I'm going to move into that folder, and then inside of this folder, I'm going to just create a simple .NET application. Again, if you're really not going into DevOps, of course, this is where you pay less attention to. If you're going into DevOps, also don't pay a lot of attention, because you're not going to be a developer, so you're not going to be writing code. But I just want to show you how we can actually write code and make use of the code, and then create the pipeline and do everything we're gonna want to do, build that application and set that up. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do with this, I want to create a simple application. I'm going to call that, again, there are a number of ways I can come here, create a folder, but I like doing things from command line because it makes my life easy. So I'm going to make directory, and I'm going to call this thing simple API. All right, so I'm going to create a directory called simple API, and then once I create it, you'll see that inside here, yeah, it's inside there, and then I'm going to cd into that that directory, And then inside of this directory, I'm going to make another one. Call that my source. Yeah, it's inside there. And then inside there, I'm also going to make another one, just so that I can introduce unit tests into this stuff. And then I create another folder called tests. All right. And with that, I'm going to, with these two projects, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create inside of my source folder, just go in there. I'm going to create a simple .NET API, and then and so I just want to create this API to test with a test unit test basically, and then create a CI/CD pipeline, and then we deploy that. So that's what I'm doing now. So I do .NET new web API, and I'm going to give it a name. The name I'm going to give it is simple API. And yep. Okay. And then you see I've created just a simple API. Okay. And yeah, that is fine. Yeah, correct. So just that command I ran created this .NET. So for me, very simple API, nothing fancy, nothing heavy, just something I'm going to play around with. So I go back to my terminal. Okay. All right. And then I want to cd back, go back to my tests. And then I'm going to create the unit tests. So inside of the unit test, I'm just going to do .NET new XUnit. And then I'm going to give it a name, and then it's going to be simple API dot tests. All right. And yep. All right. So I've created a unit test inside of that test folder. And then, so if you look at it, what we've done so far, I just created this. Of course, feel free to ignore what I'm doing for now. I just want to create something small, like I said, and then we can deploy that. Okay, so I've created a project, then created the unit test for that project. So the next thing I'm going to do is just create a solution for that. And yep, that to be that. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is net 7. Right. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I need to associate those two projects together so that they can talk to themselves, right? So I'm going to have this command quickly. Right, so merge those two. Yep. And so I have merged that too. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the two projects. I'm going to reference those two applications, the .NET app. I'm going to reference the unit test within that, and then reference the unit test within my other folder. Okay, so um, okay. Um, um, let me just go back here and okay, so let's see. Source right. That's stop net build, and then let's see if we can run this. And then we're just trying to run this API. All right, it says it's running, it's now listening on this host. So I'm just going to open that here and see. Okay, let's see. All right, could not be found. All right, redirecting, phase redirects. Okay, so it's running a local host, and I need to change the fail to redirect. Yeah. Let's see. It's listening. All right. Yep. Okay, so that's a simple API source. Okay. Okay. Let's close this, and then we'll shut down that application. So let me look at the settings of this. Now host. Yep. All right. So I'm going to do something now. So with my application ready, basically it's an API. An API, is something that basically doesn't have an interface. It doesn't have a front end, but we see the application is running on my local machine, but of course it's not redirecting now because it's using HTTPS, but it's serving using HTTP, but HTTPS is not coming up, but that is fine, but it's actually running. So what I'm going to try to do, I'll just deploy that, and then so we can access that that application. So, but I'm going to show you the next step of what we're going to do. Basically, you need to create a GitHub account. So that code that we've created now, we're going to try to set it up, push it to basically some kind of repository. I'm trying to run because of time. We need to end this meeting in 20 minutes. So we're going to create a repository where we take that code from our local machine. So those are some of the things we're going to be doing with you, how to take the code you've written in your local machine, or the code, your organization, or the application, and all of those kind of things. So basically, you're going to work with version control and make use of version control. Say, for instance, you have this kind of application here, and you're going to be working with it. You need to create a pipeline, how it works, and all that and that. So for those of you who already have experience, working with something like this, you may have some idea already. So what I'm going to do basically with this, I'm going to all right, so I'm going to take this application basically and then connect it to my my repository up there. So I'm going to name it something. I'm going to say January 2020. January. Why am I having issues spelling January? January 2024. Okay, so that's the name I'm going to give that repository. I'll make it a public repository. And of course, I signed into my GitHub account. This is my personal GitHub, so you're going to have one. And yeah, create a repository. The end goal, what we really want to do is to deploy that and then show you how cloud comes in and then where DevOps takes over from. All right, so once I create that repository on the cloud, it introduces a few things for me. It shows me what next I need to do. First is it tells me to do a git init. So I need to initialize my repository, do a first commit, then branch main and all of that, and then run this command to push that. So I'm going to follow those instructions. Just do that. So I type the first thing, git init. The way I copied that command, and then you notice everything here changes color, and it adds everything for me. So of course, this is not what you do in your own. Of course, I mean, you do something like this, but a few more things you want to do, like add a git ignore file, again, because this is a simple test or simple training demo, right? We're not going to go into all of those details, but you see I have 54 files here that Git is now tracking for me. We're going to show you how you work with Git. And then with that, I need to add a README file. I don't need to do that because I already have a file. And then I want to run a commit. But before I do a commit, I want to do a command called git status just to see what I have there. And then I'm going to do git add first. And then do git status again, basically, just to see everything has turned green. All right. And then the next thing I do is copy this command. Just run that here. Okay. And the next command, basically, I really don't need this. My branch is called master, but okay, let's change it to main. That's the essence of this command. So I'm going to run that as well, changes that from master to main here, and just clear the screen. And then I'm going to add this branch, push that my code here. And then moment I do this, and then I can then do this. All right, permission denied, unable to access that. This is a different account. Okay, is trying to log in into a different account that I set up. And somebody mute that person. Okay. Okay, unable to access that account. Why? Let's try to see. Let me try some hacky way to do this. Oh. It's trying to go into my different, I have multiple accounts here, and the account I have localized is not the account it wants here. Okay, so sorry about that. I should have tested this. I have multiple accounts stored here. I don't want to expose my keys because I'm sharing online. But with that, we push our code here and to some repository. I have that code, so I'm just going to show you the code here online, and then we're going to make use of that particular one. Let me see. Yeah, this looks like form. Repositories. Yep. Okay. Let's see. Match. Let me see this. It's 9. No. Okay. Let's do this. Let me sign out from this, sign out, yeah. And then try to sign in back into the other account. Let's see if I can do that. All right. Okay. So I need to enter in. All right. Okay. Yep. So I have sample code. So this is actually what this is the account that I have created. So I'm going to create a new repository here, then do that again. So we should have that going for us. So January 2024, and create that. And then I'm going to reinitialize that repository just so that so you see it reinitializes because this is the account I have already running inside of my machine. Of course, you can have multiple Git setup, but I don't want to go into setting that up. There are a few other commands you actually need to do, like do git global config, but we're not going to do that. Then run that again. The beautiful thing about this is as you run into problems, you get, you are happy. At least you should be happy. Because it's problems that give you that experience already exists. Okay, let's try this and see. Okay, yep. So if I refresh this, you should see that my code basically here. So you see it has taken those changes I have in my local machine and pushed them here. So basically we have taken that code, that deployment, whatever you call it, that application or whatever it is, and then you have it here. Now, if I give you, let's assume we're working in a team together in a company, you have access to something like this. And then as a cloud engineer, this is where your job actually begins. They tell you, your developers can come, oh, can you help us deploy this application? And then that's where you start having discussions. Okay, do we deploy it with a virtual machine? Or let's assume this is an AI application. They come to you as a cloud engineer. Okay, what do you recommend? We use Kubernetes? Some of you may have heard of Kubernetes. Again, so all this code part is really not for you, okay? As a cloud engineer, it's not something you should be bothered about. If you're a DevOps engineer, you also shouldn't bother yourself much about it, but there are a few things you have to start working with the developers just to make sure that everything works together and then works cool. And then you're able to deploy your changes and all of that. So we want to take this application basically that we deployed 8 minutes ago here, and then take it from here and then deploy it into a cloud environment. Okay, so that's where something like Azure DevOps now comes in. Right, that's where things like Azure DevOps comes in. Do I still have time? Okay, we don't have a lot of time, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this one we used the last time, just, I mean, something similar, having the same application basically. And then what we'll do is we create a pipeline, and this is where the DevOps part comes into play. We create a pipeline, it's asking me to authenticate. So I'm going to authorize my pipeline. We're going to show you how to create pipelines. You'll be creating pipelines. So as a DevOps engineer, these are some of the things you now begin to do. Now, you create a pipeline, and then that pipeline takes that code that you already have or the developers have written, and then you're going to do what we call CI/CD, basically taking that in a continuous fashion. You write it in the form of jobs, and then those jobs are broken down into tasks. You put them in a continuous manner so that as developers or those who are making the changes write their code and then push the code to their repository or your organization repository, everybody can see their changes in form of commits, and then this pipeline will run into get triggered, it will run, and then it will run the test, and then you have a code that is ready for deployment. And that will now take us to creating what we call a release pipeline. Now, it's the release pipeline that is where the cloud engineer comes in, or that's where your job is. You are meant to set up something that looks what we call a platform. Okay, so in case some of you have also heard of platform engineering, this is something similar. So you're going to create an environment where you're going to deploy that application to. So quickly, what I'm going to do for us here in the next few minutes, I'm going to create an app service, a very simple app service. So this is the cloud environment. So I'm going to create a new web app, just something simple and small, and then we're going to deploy that our application to. So I'll create a resource group, a test RG 2024. So this is cloud. We're deploying a code. I'm going to say Jan 2024. So this is the app cohort because that name is taken. So this name is available. Runtime is basically a .NET. I'll put it .NET 0.6, and then I want it to be Windows, and then I select a region for that. Okay, let's put it, a number of us are in Nigeria. We have people in the US and we have people in South Africa. So I'll use Europe for today. I'll use West Europe, somewhere that is a bit central for most of us. And then I will deploy it into just a free environment. And for now, I go to next, which is database. We don't want a database for now. Deployment, I disable this now. And then networking, I want it to be public. Monitoring, for now, no, I don't want that. And then tags, review, and create. So basically, this is, you see how easy cloud engineering is. So this is how you create, that thing, those whole thing that developers are spending time and weeks developing. They are looking for a platform where it will run. And what you do, is you, as a cloud engineer, this is your job. So like I said, forget about the code side. We're not in a coding class. In your office, you're not going to be bothered about all those things. So of course, people like us, when the developers are writing their codes, I don't even look at it. I'm just waiting for them to be done, and then I set up the environment for them, and then they have their things ready. So yeah, we have an environment. If we go to the browse to this web app that we just created, this is how it looks like. It's starting up because it's new, so it's going to take some time to run. And then, of course, this is the content. Again, this is not what, so if I put this URL, all of you will be able to see this. Now, let's assume this is your application. All of you, this is what you'll be seeing. Now, this is not what you want to serve, but at least you have done something, right? So the next thing would be for you to provide those details to your DevOps engineers, right? Now, the DevOps engineers can now take these things you've created, and which again, I'm going to do, having the privilege of knowing some code, and I'm the one also creating the pipeline. So I have my pipeline set up. So take that, and then I want to deploy this to this app. The name of the app is Jan 2024 cohort, right? You saw when I created it just now, Jan 2024 cohort. So it has appeared here, and I saved that pipeline. I save that, and then I come here. Let me check if my build pipeline is done. Okay, still running. What is going on? Okay, it has succeeded. Yeah, succeeded, and then my release has been created. So I take that release, it has been queued, and then it's ready for deployment. Now you see, this is an automated thing, and then it has been automated so that it's running straight into into the cloud environment. Now this thing is deploying into that my environment, and then app service is not set to use the basic stuff. So this requires MS Deploy. You need to have a Visual Studio that includes an observable blah, 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 blah. So we seem not to deploy that. Let's see what happens. Go to my deployment center. Okay, Azure repos. Save for click here to settings to enable. I'm just going to enable that error that was throwing up for me. Let's see. All right, it's asking me. Basic authentication is, yeah. Version, let's see. All right, so let's go back and try that. We deploy that, and then let's see if it's going to work this time. So while that is running, I'm just going to go back, check my pipelines. All right, I think the time is actually past our schedule. Okay. App service. Services is not is configured to not use basic authentication. It's, what does this mean? You see, this thing changes every day. That's the fun of the cloud. It changes every day. You leave it for one day, it has basic authentication on. But why is it saying off? Basic. All right, so let's try it for one more time. And then if it doesn't work, yeah, so you notice that at least I'm not doing magic for you. So because we don't have time to fix, again, all these things doesn't happen in the training. Forget what I'm doing. So but yeah, I wouldn't expect this to happen during the training. But if it happens, it's also a good opportunity for us to learn a few things. Now it's actually failing for some reason, but everything works. If everything works well, we should have a clean deployment whereby that code is taken and then put into that app service. And you should have app service is configured to not use. All right, I don't have time to look at this. Maybe after now, I'll take a look at it. But again,
Chris, I think just I'm being very mindful of their time here.
Yeah.
I have another meeting scheduled. What's going to happen, guys, is I think this is the first thing we're going to talk about during the class. One of the most important things that we try as much as possible to do is not give you guys something that is scripted. Here's the problem with the scripted stuff. You're going to run into issues like this during the live class. The scripted stuff deprive you guys the ability to see what happens in real life. Because when you secure a job, from time to time, you're going to run into errors. Your ability to interpret errors and be able to find solution for it, that's really what makes you a good at a programmer, cloud engineer. We run into errors and issues every single day. You understand? And that's the reason why you have a job. Your job is to fix, troubleshoot, and address issues. Sincere apologies for what's going on today, because this wasn't scripted, and it's obvious Chris did not do his own part by doing like what we call regression testing. You understand? Meaning if you make a rollout or if you do a deployment and you make a change to any element of the code, there is a possibility that that could impact other aspects of the entire application. And that's where if you work with a team and you have testers, you have to do regression testing and do all those good stuff before you finally do your release. Apologies for what's going on here. And we don't unfortunately have all the time, do you understand, like we do with the live classes, to do investigation, troubleshooting, and all that, to be able to understand what's going on with the application that was meant to be used for the demo. I think someone has a question, Princess. I want to wrap this up so that I can release you guys for your weekend, and then hope to see most of you sometime next week. My phone number is available. If you have questions, you want to talk to me, please feel free to reach out. The class starts officially next weekend. Princess, your question, and that should be the last, and then we can call it a day.
All right. Maybe before Princess, okay, why Princess goes with our question. It's actually a very simple fix. Like you guys saw, I had to check what's the problem with that. Like I said, Microsoft updates this thing every day. So you say it's fun. It was just the agents that we were using. They've duplicated that version. And then we've just updated that in the pipeline, and you can see we have a deployment. So yeah, Princess, you can go for your question, and then you can see while I actually, just finish up that deployment, and then you can see it. We have a clean deployment. Yeah, you can go for your question.
Okay, everyone. Thank you, P. This was actually very interesting, even though I didn't understand what you were doing, but it was quite interesting to follow on the theme more. But then I have the question regarding those who have made payments directly. Are there applications you need to download, or are there things you need to download ahead of time so that we can as well follow up in the classes? as we go on. Thank you.
During the first appointment next week, as we progress with the course, any new application that you need in your environment, the instructors would be introducing that. I guess you should have seen in the meeting invite that was sent, there are 2 links. It's actually a link to a YouTube video. For now, that's the most important thing you need, because that's basically a prerequisite course that you should have taken just to backfill the land in preparation for us. Networking is very key, and understanding Linux. But for applications to install, I wouldn't want any one of you on this call to be bothered about that. It's our responsibility to introduce that as you go on in the course. You're not going to start from the first day to be dealing with Git and all that. So it's not something you should be very worried about. The most important thing is ensure you have a working laptop, so that when it's time to install applications, we can actually install them. And irrespective of what was done today, most of the things that was shown today, we don't expect anyone to understand it. It's purely a demo. It's just to show you what Christian did today. In the next 3 months, you should be able to do that without any assistance, not necessarily writing the code, but deploying the application. That's something you must be able to do. It's a skill you must have, and even way beyond that. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. We're over time. Thanks so much, everyone. I really want to appreciate your time, at least taking the time to listen to us. This was extremely quiet and calm. At least people stayed on mute. There wasn't so much distraction and all. Really appreciate. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have questions. For those who have registered, see you on Saturday. Keep an eye. You should be getting some information from us. And those who are also still interested in registering, feel free to reach out when you have the time. Okay. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. It was a pleasure seeing your beautiful faces. Have a progressive week ahead.
Right.